Good evening, my imagination connoisseurs. It is I, the notorious RMB. Why am I clad like this? I'll never tell. Some of you might know, others, not so much. Now, just to be clear, this is not a Rip with Rob chat, although I invite all of you to pour yourself your favorite alcoholic beverage or glass of water, energy drink, whatever you choose to be drinking this now on, 9 o'clock on a Saturday night. I, as many of you know, enjoy my Jameson, so let's have a less full cocktail than the other day, but still a healthy pour, as I like. So, bottle of Cab, says Jason. By the way, I can't really see because I'm wearing these sunglasses and I'm I don't know, inexplicably wearing very hot clothing in a house. So I won't be able to see till I change my glasses. So welcome. I wanted to change things up a little bit. We've all had a chance to digest Brother, the first episode of Discovery Season 2. We've argued about it online. I've been accused of being rude and mean to the people that create that show, which is true. I have been. And let's face it, they deserve it. But just kidding. But what I wanted to talk about was the fact that even today, I was accused of being happy all the time. People ask me, Rob, why are you happy all the time? Why do you always have a smile on your face? Why do you think everything is so great? Why are you always saying on the John Campea show or on this show that we live in wondrous times? Why do you always say that when the world seems to be going to hell in a handbasket? You know, on many fronts, the environment is collapsing. Global warming will engulf us all. The polar ice caps will melt. We'll all be irradiated from Fukushima. Whatever. Pick your poison. Pick your whatever dystopian future you believe that we're going to live in. Pick it. Be angry. Whatever it is. But why am I happy? I get that a lot. People are always asking me that. And here's what I have to say to them. I'm happy because being alive in this day and age is pretty fucking awesome. It is. All things being equal. Think about it. Think about what living 500 years ago must have been like. We had no toilets. We didn't really have any plumbing. People would defecate into a bucket and throw it out the window onto the street. Some people would say that's what Los Angeles is like tonight or today or tomorrow. It's not that bad, not yet. But we live in amazing times. Even the show Black Mirror, as I've spoken about, what is a black mirror? Those who know that this is a black mirror. This little supercomputer that we carry around in our pockets where you can FaceTime anyone on planet Earth who has one and who has a fast enough internet connection. Basically, things are pretty good all around. You know, this Monday marks Martin Luther King Day in the United States. Now, when I think about 50, almost 60 years ago, when Dr. King and many of the people that put their lives on the line march for equality and civil rights and the all peoples that in the United States, all peoples to be treated equally. Dr. King said, I have a dream. And to this day, still not where it should be. However, it's better than it's ever been. There is more inclusion and more equality and more opportunity for all peoples, no matter what your religious beliefs are, what your sexuality happens to be, where you came from, what your economic status is, what your religious beliefs are. There's more opportunity now than there's ever been. Yet people are angry about everything. Everyone's so quick to be outraged. But really, it's not so bad. I mean, can it be better? Absolutely. I don't think it's ever going to be perfect, ever. We'll always want more. We'll always want more inclusion, more opportunity. But it's not that bad. which feeds back into people ask me why I'm so happy. Well, I am happy pretty much most of the time, but I keep thinking about I was raised a Jew, and one of my favorite stories in Sunday school comes from the book of Ezekiel. And no, I don't love the book of Ezekiel because Ezekiel supposedly saw a UFO. I get it. That's not why I love the book of Ezekiel. I love the story of Job. Now, I don't know if you know, in Job, I'm not talking about Robert Heinlein's novel, Job, A Comedy of Justice. And nor am I saying that I love the book of Job because of Clive Barker's story, The Yattering and Jack, which is clearly inspired by the book of Job. No, but even as a kid, I was a big fan of the book of Job. Now, for all of you that perhaps haven't read the Bible, I'm just going to paraphrase. I'm going to give you a short encapsulation of the book of Job. Basically, Job was a dude who lived in the land of Uz, or however you pronounce it. I don't know. If I say Uz, I think Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but Utz, I'd say Utz. It's U-Z, I think. So Job was a dude who lived in U-Z, Uz. He was a righteous man. He believed in God. He had a wife and children. He was a good man, believed in God. And basically, one day, Satan basically had a conversation with God and said, you know, Job is just a good, happy man because he believes that he's under your protection, that you're keeping him safe. That's all. God's like, no, you know what? I don't think that's true. So I'll tell you what, I'm not going to protect him. You, Satan, do what you will. Do what you will to poor old Job. So basically, Job had 3 friends. Suddenly his life goes to shit. Everything terrible happens to Job. Just awful. Like his kids die. I think his wife died. His friends, you know, they talk to him. They give him counsel. And basically, they just tell him that God has forsaken him and God sucks. And why do you still believe in God after all this horrible shit befalls you? Job's like, you know what? God hasn't forsaken me. Nope. So Job never gave up his belief in God. Pretty much stuck it out. No matter what horrible, and let me tell you, Job's life got taken apart just piece by piece. Basically has nothing left. Long story short, his belief in God was well-founded. And eventually things turn around and everything, God gets a new wife. He basically gets new kids. He gets his life back, even after it's been completely dismantled by Satan. And so God and Job, they had this understanding. At least Job had his belief, his faith, and it all turned around. And Job's faith in God kept him. Look, I don't think that God or Satan were very nice to poor old Job. And God was basically playing with a human life and hung back and saw what happened, which is, you know, why I'm not big on God. I think God was kind of a dick, especially to Job. He wasn't a nice man. Like, why'd God do that to the guy? All he ever did was believe in you. But anyway, the point is that Job kept a smile on his face no matter what horrible shit happened to him. So why does that come back to me? What does Job have to do with my life? Yes, I like the Heinlein story. I liked Job, A Comedy of Justice. I have the hardcover. I got it when it first came out. Clive Barker's story, The Yattering and Jack, is basically a retelling of the story of Job. The Yattering is a demon, and Jack is the man who the Screw Tape Letters. If you haven't read C.S. Lewis's book, The Screw Tape Letters, it same kind of thing. But here's what I was thinking about today, and when I was asked, why am I so happy and why am I always having such a good time? The answer to that is simple. It is a choice. Happiness is a lifestyle choice that you must make on a daily basis. You have to choose to be happy, no matter what kind of shit is going to befall you. And by the way, people can say right now, I've led a privileged life from many different, you know what? Anybody who's born in the United States pretty much lives a privileged life. I mean, compared to other places we could have been born, you know. We've never had an Ebola outbreak in the United States. If you live in Sierra Leone, you've had an Ebola outbreak in your hometown or your home country. We've been pretty blessed here in the United States, especially if you were born in the 20th century. But anyway, for whatever reason, I had good parents. My parents, middle class, not even upper middle class, but middle class. My parents, however, never said a bad word about anyone. Never heard my parents ever talk shit about anybody, ever. And that was pretty good. Now, some people would say I was privileged to have that. Perhaps, perhaps I was. I also had parents that were very supportive of my interests. They've, as I've spoken about a lot on these chats, my mother and father indulged my interests. But on the other hand, they were just happy to have a kid who would pedal his bike or take the bus to the bookstore to get Graham Masterton's Revenge of the Manitou, when the old ladies that worked at Island Books would call me and say, "Your horror novel came in." They had no idea what kind of horrific violence and unbelievably explicit sex was in the book. They might have had a problem with that, but luckily they didn't. They were good parents. When I was 9 years old, as I've talked so much about, when Logan's Run was coming out in the theater, and I was talking about Logan's Run incessantly because I would see any science fiction movie, no matter what it was, but even at 9, and opening night, my mom took me to the John Dance Theater to see Logan's Run because I wanted to see it. Now, she wasn't totally indulgent. It was a double bill with the great animated science fiction film, Fantastic Planet. And my mom was a trooper. She's like, "All right, we'll stay and watch the second feature. We'll check it out." 10 minutes in, my mother was completely incensed, got up, and my sister and I, my 7-year-old sister and I were with her. My mom stands up, and my mother frequently embarrassed me when I was a child. She yelled at salespeople only because, she wanted what she wanted. She was an anal retentive perfectionist, but that didn't mean she was a bad person. But my mom stands up in the middle of the John Dance Theater and she says, "I am not going to sit here and watch a movie where human beings are treated like ants." And she grabbed my sister's arm, she yanked her out of the chair, and we had to leave. Took me years before I saw Fantastic Planet again. It was playing on a double bill at the Harvard Exit, a great theater that's no longer in Seattle. It was playing on a double bill at the Harvard Exit with Ralph Bakshi's film, his 1977, I believe, animated science fiction film, Wizards. I was able to see Fantastic Planet and Wizards by myself when I was a little older, probably 11 or 12. And my grandmother lived right around the corner from the Harvard Exit. So I took the bus there, saw the movie, went to my grandmother's house. My dad picked me up. But basically, in my life, and I've talked a lot about this, all of you people here who are watching this, I call you all the post-geek singularity community. I have watched all of my childhood dreams come true. I watched it happen. It was right there. Every dream I ever had as a kid. I mean, the only dreams that haven't come true is we're not living on the moon. I don't have Blade Runner spinner flying cars. But for the most part, all the entertainment that I love, I mean, I never thought there was going to be another Star Trek TV show, much less a movie. Tonight, you can listen to the Inglorious Treksperts podcast about the Star Trek The Motion Picture novelization that kicks off our 40th anniversary year-long celebration of Star Trek The Motion Picture. Come on. I never thought after the original series and the animated series, the 79 episodes of the original series, 22 episodes of the animated series, that I would ever see more Star Trek. And boy, I got a movie. And now look where we are. Last night, the most expensive Star Trek television series ever made had its second season debut. Now, despite the fact that I might have problems with it, we got it. We have another Star Trek show on the air. We have a Star Trek The Next Generation homage on the air. We've got how many CW comic book series? We got Gotham. We got The Runaways on Hulu. We've got comic book shows coming out the wazoo. I never thought that would happen. I am deliriously excited for Avengers Endgame that's coming out. We've got a Star Wars movie, Episode 9. I mean, In 1989, if you told me there would ever be anything more than the first 3 Star Wars films, the original trilogy, I would have said, come on. There's a book right there. There's a book, my Toshin Star Trek Archives, that my girlfriend Elizabeth gave me for Christmas this year, that weighs 14 pounds. That's full of Star Wars pictures and notes and artwork. Now, this is just movies, things I like. But look at everything else. Books. You can download any book you want practically. You can download any comic book. I can call somebody up in a foreign country on my phone that I carry around in my pocket, and I can see an instantaneous real-time video picture of somebody anywhere on the planet and talk to them. I can use my phone and call up a Lyft. Somebody will just come and pick me up and take me where I want to go. You know, we have space companies like SpaceX, Elon Musk's SpaceX, who is launching reusable rockets into the sky and landing the boosters on a barge at sea, and then can do it again in mere weeks. We've got all kinds of awareness. Despite the fact that we talk about global warming and all that, there is more environmental awareness around the world than there has ever been. Ever. More people are aware. There is more awareness of everything from gender dysmorphia to behavioral science. There's more going on now that people are able to get more help for themselves than ever before. If, of course, they live in westernized nations, and people can call me naive. I get all that. But for the most part, we live in wondrous, amazing times if we choose to live in them. And what I mean by that is it's a choice, man. It is a lifestyle choice. And since this is the post-geek singularity community, I would like to say that you can choose to hate The Last Jedi, or you can choose, as I do, to think, wow, I can't believe we got 8 movies in the Skywalker saga and we're going to get a 9th. Because I grew up in a time where I can't believe we had 3. When Star Wars first came out, who knew? By the way, I've got a great dog that's 25% Bernese Mountain Dog and 75% Poodle. How cool is that? But I never knew that we'd get another Star Wars movie either. I mean, everything that I loved as a kid has gotten better. Every single thing that I love has gotten better, and you can get more of it. And you can get it instantaneously. I am talking to you right now on an iMac Pro computer with a 4K camera in it. I've got a microphone that just plugs into the back, and I can talk to you wherever you are. People in multiple countries. First of all, I want to say, Jonathan Rowe, thank you for that super chat. Sorry, I had to read that. I can't see it because my glasses are too fogged up. I appreciate the super chat. I appreciate the support. But we are living in wondrous times, people. And everybody's angry. Everybody's triggered all the time and pissed off. Even though there is more inclusion, there's more religious freedom, social freedom, sexual freedom, religious freedom, gender freedom than there's ever been. Now, does that mean that we don't have a long way to go? Of course it means we have a long way to go. We have a long way to go. There's all kinds of horrors we perpetrate against one another every single day. But those horrors are more exposed than they've ever been. And there's more people that know about them than ever before. And yet, people are angry. They're talking about, everything is so terrible. Tribalism, all the political divide in this country, which makes really no sense when you really think about it. Because if our baseline here in America, where we live, is that we're all Americans, shouldn't we then begin the conversation from the fact that we all come from the same place? We don't even do that anymore. We're so angry, and yet everything is awesome. I mean, awesome in terms of if you choose to look at it that way. Now, in my own life, I've been very lucky. First, I was born in America. I was born in the Pacific Northwest to loving parents. And look, my parents got separated. You know, they basically weren't together for the last 20 years of my father's life. But they were always nice to each other. My father never officially divorced my mother because my mother had some health problems, and my father wanted to make sure that she could avail herself of his insurance if she needed it. That was what kind of guy my dad was. So a lot of people are gonna be like, well, not everybody had your dad. Well, I can't. So I can't sit there and go, okay, well, I'm sorry that other people didn't have the experience that I had. I can only go by my own experience. I was lucky. I was very, very lucky. And that certainly contributed to my point of view. However, my parents didn't bring me to LA. I basically packed up my shit and moved here by myself. I didn't know anyone when I got here. And I didn't have a leg up when I moved to LA. I just picked up my shit and left from Seattle and came here. And what I found, another thing that I have found in the last 30 years of my life since I lived in LA, is I found a community of people, of like-minded people. I've often said it's akin to Devil's Tower in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. We heard that clarion call that the aliens sort of injected into our brains. And we sort of felt the call of Los Angeles because we all wanted to work in movies and television or whatever part of the entertainment industry we wanted to be. And from the beginning, I started to meet a bunch of great, like-minded people. Have I loved everybody I've met here? No, I've met a lot of amazing assholes, but that's okay. I've met a lot of incredible people, and better yet, I've met people that over the years, I've developed a great admiration for. I have a large coterie of friends that I admire. People that I can point to, just off the top of my head. There are two guys I know that did what I do and still do, produce DVD and Blu-ray special features. There's a great guy named Charlie de Lauzarica. I've known Charlie for years. He went to USC, but after I was there, Charlie's favorite movie was Blade Runner. He went in, he became an intern at Ridley Scott's company, and he actually ended up producing the definitive release of Blade Runner on Blu-ray, simply because he was doing what he loved too. I mean, he got to make sure effect shots were redone. He basically put together the Blade Runner final cut under the watchful eye of Ridley Scott himself. And he made an incredible 2.5-hour documentary called Dangerous Days. This package, this 5-disc package that he put out, amazing. I know that guy. I know that dude. And he achieved a dream in his own life. My friend Cliff Stevenson, he's doing the same thing. He's still making DVD and Blu-ray special features. Look at his documentaries on Hannibal, on Brian Fuller's Hannibal. Speaking of Brian Fuller, I know Brian Fuller. The guy, he started writing for Star Trek, and not only did he start on Deep Space Nine and then wrote for Voyager, he co-created Discovery. And there's so many people. Kay Rendell, a friend of mine whose idea it was to even make Free Enterprise. She wrote for Chris Carter and Millennium. She's continuing to write television even today. I mean, my friend Lucas Kendall, who I'm working with on a short film, he started out in high school. He loved film music. And he put out a newsletter in high school about movie soundtracks because that's what he loved. What did he end up doing? He started a magazine about movie soundtracks. Then he started producing movie soundtrack albums, but not just any movie soundtracks, like the best versions of soundtracks that we've ever seen. And he had my friend Jeff Bond came out to LA. Jeff Bond has written books on Star Trek, on the Orville, on Planet of the Apes. He's written countless movie soundtrack liner notes. He has a beautiful wife and 2 beautiful kids, and he has a garage full of spaceship models. That's what he does in his spare time. He builds spaceship models. He has a model this big of the Cygnus from the black hole. My friend Alan Spencer. I didn't know Alan Spencer. He created Sledgehammer. He wrote and directed the movie Hexed. He's one of the smartest dudes I know. My friend Mark Altman. I got to make a movie with my friend Mark Altman about ourselves and our childhood idol, William Shatner. I met Mark Altman because I was a fan of his writing in Cinefantastique magazine. I didn't know him. I read his work. And I met him on a phone call one day because we all lived in LA. I mean, I have countless stories about people that I know that I've met because I had the wherewithal to pick up my shit without anyone's help, move to LA and follow a dream. And I've stuck to that dream. Am I as rich as I wanted to be? Certainly not. It's been a hand-to-mouth existence. Have I been a perfect person? No, I've fucked people over, not intentionally, but I haven't been able to pay people. I've lived with one finger on the precipice. Like, it hasn't always been easy. It's been tough, but I've got to do some amazing, amazing things. And we live in an amazing world. And I choose to get up every morning and think about the fact that I thank my lucky stars because I get to live here and now. And it's fantastic. I have a woman in my life who loves me. She's a great mother. She's a beautiful woman. She's smart. She's an incredible artist. She puts up with my shit. I mean, how great is that? She lets me have a TV, a 65-inch TV in the bedroom and my entire Blu-ray collection. I have her cat, Skippy, who you just heard. There she is again. Apparently Skippy's not happy, but she's a cat, so you can't, cut her some slack. But anyway, Joe, I just want to come on this Saturday night and say life is great and we should all be a little bit more mindful of what is good in the world. And we can choose to have a better time. And I always say on my phone answering machine, or in my phone answering machine, my outgoing message on my phone has had the same final send-off or final sign-off for years, and that is, have a better day. I've been saying that for 25 years. I got a job. Actually, I was able to make free enterprise ultimately because the guy who I ended up making free enterprise with, Dan Bates, hired me for another job. I got a feature editorial job because he wanted to know what have a better day meant. When he wanted to get in touch with an editor, he waited till I called him back, and I got this job from him simply because I have a better day on my outgoing message. At the time, it was a machine. Just because I said that. I got a job editing a movie. It was god-awful. The movie was terrible. But I learned so much working on the film, and it was way better than the original cut of the movie. So I just want to come on tonight and say that, all things being equal, things are pretty great if you choose to accept that they are. Now, does that mean that horrible shit doesn't happen, or that does happen? Yeah, I found out a friend of mine might be dying of terminal cancer the other day. She doesn't know. That's terrible. I've lost many friends too young. Which is horrible. My friend Sean, who is portrayed by Patrick Van Horn in Free Enterprise, died in his early 40s. A girlfriend I had that Mark later had met, and we put her in the pages of Femme Fatale magazine, died in her mid-30s. Bad things happen. But that doesn't mean we must go on. We have to choose to go on, and we have to choose to get up every morning and decide to be happy, because it's too easy to do the reverse. Anyway, that's just what I was thinking. Because I was dressed like this, I think people mistook the fact that only a happy idiot would dress like this out in public. That might be true. But anyway, on this Saturday night, I figured, why not? I want to hear from you guys. What do you guys think? What do you guys want to talk about? Are you happy? What makes you happy? What are the things that you look forward to? What are the things that put a smile on your face? What are the things that when you think back give you the most joy in life? Now I'm going to change my glasses, and I'm going to change my glasses, and I'm going to put on these glasses so I can read. So anyway, because what else to do on a Saturday night? We either, by the way, I'm going to take this first drink. My ice is gone, but it's still great. So this is not drunk, Rob. I'm not in my cups, as it were. But anyway, so what do you guys have to say? What do you got for me? King of Scotland says, what's the topic tonight? I wonder. The topic is what makes you happy. What do you people like? Kush says, I wonder if my tweets with Rob had any influence on tonight's topic. Perhaps. Bright says, schmo down. Don't know what you mean, Bright. Have no idea. Jason Soto's drinking a bottle of Cab. Kush says, Widow Jane 10-year-old bourbon. Nice. MK Winter says, hey, Rob. Hey, everyone. How you doing? Kush says, hope and faith in humanity. Yes, damn it. Bright says, life is too short. Might as well enjoy the ride. Absolutely. Be Easy says, LOL. Myth Dustard says, I like your outfit and sunglasses, Rob. Thank you. So I'm back to my readers. King of Scotland says, Liberace. Can't play the piano, which is too bad. I wish I could. You know, I want to learn to play the piano one day, and it's not too old. It's not too late. Let me tell you one of my favorite pieces of advice I ever read. There was a Dear Abby column. For those of you who might be too young to know who Dear Abby was, she was an advice columnist. And one of my favorite columns, and I want to say it was from the 80s, a woman had written in, and I believe she was saying that she was like 42, and she always wanted to be a doctor. And she thought about going to medical school and then doing her residency. But she said to Abby, she said, you know, by the time I get out of medical school and I do my residency, I'm going to be 50. I'll never forget this. Dear Abby wrote back, I paraphrase, you're going to be 50 anyway. That totally resonated with me even today. Going to be 50 anyway. Clint Eastwood was almost 90 directing movies. William Shatner is going to be celebrating a birthday March 22nd that brings him within a stone's throw of being 90. He's not 90 yet, but he's getting there. And what is he doing? He's not stopping. You know, talk about a man that I admire. That guy is going on. The King of Scotland says, best case scenario, we survive as a species long enough to send swarms of nanobots across the galaxy to terraform worlds, print human DNA, and seed the cosmos. God willing, we will. Because, man, there's amazing technology that is being created. And I'm hoping that things are going to be good. I believe in the power of mankind. I believe in the power of where we're going. Kush says, faith in the potential and goodness of humanity. God is a symbol of individual goodness and social judgment. I don't know if God is a symbol of individual goodness. I think, let's say you believe in that. And let's say there is a God. God created us, but it's really up to us to decide to be good. Anyway, film nerd Jamie says, my lovely wife is Russian. Jamie, that's good. My ex-wife was Russian. That's all I'm saying. Jonathan Rowe says, it's about faith in yourself and abilities, not on Mary Poppins. Absolutely. You control your own destiny. You have the power. Kush says, privilege implies social permission. You were fortunate. I was fortunate. I mean, you know, anybody who was born in this country as opposed to, say, anywhere else, we have a leg up already. The King of Scotland says, a lot of things we think we're supposed to have today are literary conditions of the Romantic period, fictional representations of optimal solutions which do not exist in reality. You know, I tend to agree with that, actually. Chris Ferris says, it's good to be a nerd. It is good to be a nerd. We have everything we could possibly want. I just want it to be better than it is, but we still have it. Brian Hennessy says, not to cross franchises, but the Trexperts TMP novelization podcast is invoking the Star Wars radio show while being off the hook Trek. Must listen. Again, if you guys haven't heard, we did a podcast that's live on the internet today about the novelization for Star Trek, the motion picture. Who does that? Come on. We do, actually, the Inglorious Trexperts, celebrating the 40th anniversary of Star Trek, the motion picture. Kush says, I finally understood how sports fans feel when their team wins. On the day of the Falcon Heavy launch, cheering and overwhelmed with joy. Can you believe it? Can you believe the Falcon Heavy launch? I mean, it's unbelievable what's going on in space. And I believe China landed on the far side of the moon. Isn't it incredible that we've got that going on? We're seeing the space race is kicking into high gear. I've wanted to see that since 72 in the last Apollo mission. It's been since 1972 that a man landed on the moon. It might happen soon. Hassan Chavez says, you can do your shopping at home or play Mortal Kombat with a friend in Vietnam. My point exactly, Hassan. I mean, can you imagine playing Mortal Kombat with somebody in Vietnam 10 years ago? Well, maybe you could imagine it. Certainly not 20 years ago. That's amazing. Isn't that amazing? It's awesome. John Kirk says, you need to mention George Perez's retirement. The man was so kind to my girl when she was super ill. Okay, John is absolutely correct. For those of you who don't know, George Perez. Now, if you don't know George Perez, he's one of the great comic book illustrators of all time. I first encountered George Perez when he was drawing Justice League, and then he was drawing New Teen Titans when Marv Wolfman resurrected the title. I think it was resurrected in 1980. He also drew Crisis on Infinite Earths. He did an incredible run that he also wrote on Wonder Woman. George Perez is one of the great superhero comic artists of all time. He has announced his retirement from doing comics and from doing commission work. I love George Perez, as John Kirk points out. His daughter was super ill. I assume your daughter or your wife, and George did a drawing. It's amazing that we had people like George Perez working as long as we had in that field. I mean, any of his incredible, when he would fill the frame with hundreds of comic book characters like he did in Crisis on Infinite Earths. I mean, Supergirl's funeral, look at that. That was issue 7 of Crisis on Infinite Earths. Amazing. He retired. So you know what? Here's to George Perez and all the great comic work that he's done over the last pretty much 4 decades. 4.5, almost 5 decades. Olenti says, I was going to ask where you got that interesting jacket. Okay, I'll tell you where I got this jacket. I want to say 18 years ago, 2001, 2002. My friend Rob Pryor, who's a great artist in his own right. You might know Rob Pryor. He was working in makeup effects, and he was doing, for Halloween, he was going to do full head prosthesis for a number of us. He did demon makeup on me, and to accompany that demon, I went and bought this jacket and this this shirt at a store called Spike on Melrose. It was a goth store. And yeah, I wanted to look like somebody from Bauhaus meets, I don't know. I wanted to be a Renaissance demon from hell. Basically, that was what I was going for. So I had this outfit and a full head prosthesis. So that's why I have this. Trinidad the Island Man says, I'm late to the party, Rob. Did I miss your piano concerto? Stellar. Yes, you did. You missed me. I was playing a Schubert piece. Benjamin Yude says, everything is awesome. Everything is cool when you're part of a team. That is right, Benjamin. And as we know from the Lego movie, everything is awesome. Film nerd Jamie says, your dad took you to see Dawn of the Dead as a kid too. Extra cool points to him. My dad did. My dad took me to see Dawn of the Dead. He took me to see Phantasm. He took me and my friends to see Escape from New York. And rather than just drop us off, he asked me, what's this movie, Escape from New York, about? I told him what it was about, and he came in and saw it with us. And he liked it. So that was pretty cool. Benjamin Yude says, Dangerous Days is so good. It is good. Chris Fairs says, I love the Orbital. Patrick Campbell says, Patrick Campbell, it's Patrick Campbell's birthday, isn't it? I think it's your birthday. Patrick Campbell is another friend of mine who has a beautiful wife. He's got a menagerie of animals in his house, and he has an incredible Blu-ray collection. He's got it all. He's a great writer too. And he took me to see an Alien movie on the Fox lot. And it's his birthday. His wife took him to NYC for his birthday. But he's watching this in NYC while on vacation. Dude, you should not be watching this. If you're in NYC, that means it's 9:38. So it's what? 12:30? Yeah, it's 12:30. You should be out getting your crunk on. Go to the Russian tea room. You should be in Times Square living it up, bro. Chanel says, Channel says, we're playing Drinking Robert My Burnett. Submit your key phrases. Live in wondrous times. Geek singularity. Sweaties. I don't say sweaties. By the way, I don't. Sweaties was a term that belonged to the great John Schnepp. My term is imagination connoisseurs. That is my catchphrase. That's what I want to hear from you. And if you want to play drinking with me, here's what you follow along. Every time I take a drink, so should you. But not drive. Claire Fair says, good woman. She's a keeper. I feel that way about my woman too. Bud McSmoke says, Cincinnati, Ohio, where downtown doughheads are out breaking into your car and stealing your laptop, school books, and bag of weed on a daily basis. So don't come here if you can't lock your car. I'm not saying it's great all the way around, but just don't leave that stuff in your car. But anyway, Bud says, freaking pissed off. Sorry, my homework was stolen out of my car along with something in his laptop. You should not leave that stuff in your car. Farky50 says, hey, Rob, I'm thankful and trying to be happy. Changed career, got a degree in graphic design and pursuing more education in film or 3D design. I was 28 and needed to do something creative. Farky, that's what I'm talking about, dude. You went and made that shit happen. You changed your life because you had the opportunities. I mean, you were able to do that. It's great, right? Helsing7747 says, I found out that my wife ordered the Neon Genesis Evangelion EVA 01 test type Bandai metal build action figure. Dude, that is dope. First of all, those Bandai metal build action figures are great. I have a few Gundam figures. But Evangelion, that stuff is so good. Let's see. Tyler says, what's a cheaper alternative to Hot Toys that you recommend? Ever watch The Toys That Made Us? Love the outfit. Let me tell you something. There are no cheaper alternative to Hot Toys. They're unto themselves, unfortunately. I love The Toys That Made Us. I've watched both seasons. No One says, Rob, have you seen the new Punisher War Machine figure by Hot Toys? Yes. It's awesome. It's very cool. I don't know if I'm going to buy that, though, to be honest. It's cool. Channel says, Kush, that's a great point, too. Many of us don't realize the advantages we have until we face the reality without them. People brush off the idea that they have privilege. Look, we live in the United States of America. We're so privileged. You can get in a car and drive from one end of the United States to the other end of the United States, and nobody cares. There's gas stations all along the way. How amazing is that? Myth Dustard says, what's the superhero film you never thought you would ever get? Avengers. Bar none. Like you said, Avengers. Doctor Strange. I never thought 2 Guardians of the Galaxy would happen. You know what? I never thought about Guardians of the Galaxy because it wasn't even on my radar. I just never thought I'd get an Avengers or a Justice League movie. We got them both. Darren Dock's rendition of the motion picture novelization is a throwback to those Simon & Schuster books on tapes narrated sometimes by James Doohan and sometimes by George Takei. For those of you who don't know, once again, listen to this week's episode that just dropped today of the Inglorious Trexperts. It's all about the novelization of Star Trek: The Motion Picture. Again, when would I ever think that somebody would do a podcast about the novelization for Star Trek: The Motion Picture? Least of all would it have been me. But Mark A. Altman, Darren Dochterman, and I did just that. And Darren Dochterman, you got to hear him do it because his voice is, he does Roddenberry, he does Nimoy. You just trust me. Go listen to the Inglorious Trexperts podcast about that. Coaster Ninja says, being an immigrant has made it difficult to connect to people around me in my community. Now, look, I'm not saying things aren't tough. You know, I can understand that. It is tough. And the xenophobia that's taken root in America, that's risen the last 2 years. You know, here's the thing. You know what the great cure for that is? People need to travel and they need to meet you. You got to go out and meet people. And you got to help. You got to help. You can't expect people to just love everything. But one thing I've learned, I mean, I've been fortunate enough to travel around the world for jobs. And the one universal constant is that most people I've met are pretty amazing. No matter where you go in the world, most people are pretty great. Pretty great. King of Scotland says, is that whiskey, beer, or apple juice? This is Jameson. Kush knows. It's Jameson. It's always Jameson. Farky50 says, Jacket reminds me of Interview with a Vampire for some reason. Absolutely. Lestat is one of my favorite literary characters. Not so much Louis. A friend of mine said, I like Vampire Lestat a lot better than Interview with a Vampire because he summed up Interview with a Vampire like this. He goes, you know what Interview with a Vampire is? It's hundreds of pages of somebody going, I don't want to be a vampire. I mean, come on. Anyone who grew up with the Lost Boys know, sleep all day, party all night, never grow old, never die. It's fun to be a vampire. Done. Wouldn't you want to be vampires like that came out the same year, Catherine Bigelow's Near Dark? Even if I was a vampire, I'd be stoked. So you couldn't see the sun anymore. That's what you go to movies for. That's what Louis was doing. He saw Superman the movie in the theater. How great's that? Aaron Johnson says, Rob, I was going to ask you the other day this, thoughts on film The Untouchables. Despite Malone being attacked near the end of it, it does have some rather poetic quotes. The Untouchables is great. It's Brian De Palma at his finest. You've got an Ennio Morricone score. You've got Kevin Costner kicking ass. You got Andy Garcia, and you've got the great Sean Connery, and you've got De Niro playing Al Capone. The Untouchables rules. I love The Untouchables. He beats somebody to death with De Niro beats somebody to death with a baseball bat. How awesome is that? Kirsch says, I live in NYC. It's raining and cold. Stay in tonight. Yeah, but you know what? Maybe that's the night you should go out. because who knows what's going to happen. That's what I would do. When it's raining and cold, that's when you put on your coat and you set out to find some adventure. The Illite Factor says, you're giving us great content. Keep it up. Please give my girlfriend Jessica C a shout out. Jessica C, I give you a shout out. You know, Prince sang a song called Cindy C. That's, I believe, on his album, the Black Album. That's all about Cindy Crawford. But I think that you could change the lyrics and make it to Jessica C. So, Illite Factor, you should learn the lyrics to Prince's song Cindy C and put your girlfriend's name Jessica in for Jessica C. And you should do like a striptease down to your underwear or less while you sing the song. That's my advice to you. See what happens. Do it tonight. Why wait? Midnight's Edge After Dark says, I'm fashionably late. What's the haps? You tell me. You're always on the cutting edge, man. Let's see. Channel says, I don't know. You weren't using it. Oh, you know what? It's not that I'm not using sweaties anymore, but here's the thing. To me, that was the great John Schnepp's term, and I don't want to co-opt it. It's not that I don't want to use it. It's just that was John's. And sometimes I think if I were to use it, I would feel that I was somehow disrespecting his memory, because that to me is sweaties. The whole idea of that is John Schnepp, and I would like to honor that. That's why I came up with the idea that all of you are part of the Post Geek Singularity, and you're all imagination connoisseurs. Those are my thoughts. Sweaty Spidey says, NECA Toys just got my ultimate Michael Myers figure, and I love it. That's awesome. NECA does some great work. I love NECA. Bright says, so true, R&B. Most people are good people. Even the mean people aren't as mean as they want you to believe. I agree with that. You know, I think most people just want to be recognized and talked to. That's why my sign off, what do I always say? Everybody you meet has a story you have yet to hear. All you have to do is listen. Let's see. Well, I'm at the, here, this is Skippy John Jones, by the way. In addition to Gilbert, we have Skippy John Jones. She comes up on my desk because she wants me to feed her. Don't you, Skippy? And she's on my keyboard, and you never know what's going to happen. It's interesting. It's kind of funny to see a cat and a xenomorph face to face, is it not? I kind of like it. See, that's another thing. I got a cat, a xenomorph, and a glass of beer here in case I ran out of whiskey. Oh, hey, here's another shameless commercial. So if you guys like Blade Runner, here's another cool thing. This book came out. Look at how thick that is. The Cyberpunk Nexus. I've shown this before. I contributed an essay to this book. It came out in July or in August. This is a very thick book. The Cyberpunk Nexus, exploring the Blade Runner universe. You can get this on Kindle. By the way, I don't really get royalties from this, but if you're interested in Blade Runner, get this book. It's fantastic. There's so many cool essays in here by many different talented people. If you like Blade Runner, get this book. I wrote an essay as well. So check it out. It's nice to have Skippy here. She's never been up here doing one of these broadcasts. Tom Bateman says, Rob, today I watched a rocket launch live, tossed the football, and built a Lego Milano from Guardians of the Galaxy with my nephew, watched the new Starman Blu-ray with my family. Life's great. And Tom Bateman, because of you, there's the LA Rams here, and they might go to the Super Bowl. Let's not forget that. Oh, wait, I don't know. I don't know what happened today. What happened today? NFL, I don't know. I didn't look. Maybe they're not going to the Super Bowl. Channel says, wow, it's so thick. I think you meant to say it's so thick. I've been waiting my whole life to hear that, but now I have a book where you can say that. Comic Doctor says, hi, Robert. You ever hang out here in Toronto? I've never been to Toronto ever. I've been to Edmonton, Winnipeg, Calgary, never Toronto. Can you believe that? And I'm a huge David Cronenberg fan. Look at this. My cat is squaring off against the big chap alien. This is what I like. I've got a cat that will sit here and square off against a 1-to-1 life-size alien. How cool is that? Myth Dustard says, I feel like using the term sweaties is a way to keep the term alive. Whenever you use it and people ask what that means, you tell them about John Schnepp. That's true, but I don't want to use it. I don't want to co-opt John's term. I don't. Coaster Ninja says, you should go to TIFF. Hopefully. I want to make a movie and go to TIFF. Comic Doctor says, get up here. Lots of snow today on me. Are you going to fly me up? I'll come. Coaster Ninja says, favorite vampire movies. That's a good question. You know what my favorite Hammer vampire movies, Hammer films? Vampire Circus. Here's some of my favorite movies, favorite vampire movies. in no particular order: Vampire Circus, Planet of the Vampires, Dracula, Prince of Darkness, Daughters of Darkness, The Hunger, Near Dark, Dracula, John Borman's Dracula, the original Dracula, Coppola's Dracula, John Rowland's, any John Rowland's lesbian vampire movies. I love those. There's just so many. There's so many great vampire. I love Interview with a Vampire. There's many. Bright says, uh-oh, wait a minute. What just happened? I've now lost. Benjamin Yude says, if Tango, oh, it's my cat. My cat is my cat's tail is causing problems for me. Is making my. It's okay. I still love you, baby. I still. Oh, you're skippers. This cat loves me. Do I have a dream hot toy? Asks Bright. Yes, I was not able to get the Hulkbuster when it first came out. I've got to pre-order the new one, but I need to get a little bit more money. Chris Ferris says, not a popular pick, but I like Dracula 2000. Yes. Helsing 7747 says, traveling and living in different countries definitely made me be a better version of myself and also made me more open-minded. Absolutely. Every single American should get a passport and travel somewhere. PK Olson says, hey, Rob, I used to work the ArcLight in Hollywood, and it was awesome seeing you there now and then. I never mentioned I was a fan, but we had a quick exchange once because you noticed I had Krull on my name tag. Well, PK, that's awesome. And I love the fact that you had Krull on your name tag. I go to the ArcLight all the time. I love the ArcLight. I'm glad that you were there. Were you working at the bar? I love the ArcLight, and good on you for working there. It's great. Kush says, can your cat high five? I don't know. Skippy, can you high five? I don't think so. She never does things on command. She'll probably do it later. The Illite Factor says, how do you feel about the Far From Home trailer? Look good. Look fun to me. I like the fact that it's not about some apocalyptic world-ending event. Sharpshooter 07 says, if they remade 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, would Luke Evans be a good Captain Nemo? Yeah, I think so. Maybe. I think Nemo should be a little older, a little salty, maybe gray in the sides. Brian Eng says, do you get noticed in public? I do occasionally. One time we went here in Pasadena to the Cheesecake Factory, and the maitre d' is like, oh my God, I'm a big Heroes fan. And yeah, I've been recognized. I think I was recognized at the Coldplay concert at the Rose Bowl. Occasionally. It's always funny, but it's always flattering. Hey, Rob, have you seen any particle accelerators like at CERN? I live near Brookhaven Labs and go on the tours. The machine looks like alien tech. We wouldn't be able to design it. What say you? I'm all about particle accelerators. But here's the thing. Here's what Gene Roddenberry said about like the pyramids. He said, ancient astronauts did not build the pyramids. We, human beings, built the pyramids because human beings are awesome. And we are awesome. And we have built amazing things. What could you do in a 2-part Mission Impossible film? I honestly can't see Tom Cruise going to space for a Mission Impossible film. Would they go underground or deep ocean? They could do all of those things. Why not all 3 of them? As long as the plot's good. Kavisha Panchahewa. Hey, Rob, just wanted to say you're a great inspiration. Also, my grandfather passed away, so it's great listening to you. Well, first of all, I'm sorry that your grandfather passed away, but are you saying that I'm as old as your grandfather? But I'm sorry to hear that. I'm glad you feel some inspiration. Let's all drink to that. Let's all drink to you, Kavisha. Here you are. And by the way, here's to your grandfather. I'm sure he was very proud of you. Here's to him. Kush says, what happened to Federation politics? Man, I don't know. But remember, those Federation diplomats on Star Trek were always kind of sniveling anyway. Jason Soto says, I have a dog, 3 cats. Cats are my girlfriends, but I'm happy. Well, that's good. It's good to have that. Cats are great. The King of Scotland says, tell us something major that happened in Hollywood that you knew about months before it was publicly announced, that Brandon Routh was going to be Superman. I knew that months before it was announced because I filmed him getting a screen test. Joe Flick says, cheers to you, Joe. Norman Lau, the great Norman Lau, says, just finished Arena on today. It's anniversary. And I will have something poignant to say here soon. Laugh out loud. Oh my God. Comic Doctor says, Corvette Summer is a guilty pleasure. Okay, do you know offhand if there's a clean copy out there on DVD or Blu-ray. Okay. If you guys don't know what Corvette Summer is, it is a movie that Mark Hamill made, I think, in 78 after Star Wars came out. It stars Mark Hamill and Annie Potts. And I want to say Kim Milford, who starred in the movie Laser Blast. He's the villain. And basically, it's Mark Hamill plays a high school student. They build the ultimate Corvette, and it gets stolen. And Mark Hamill has to go to Las Vegas to find it. And he meets Annie Potts, who's like a porn star, and they have, well, hijinks ensue. I would love to get that movie. I don't know why Shout Select has not put that movie out, or Arrow has not put that movie out. I haven't seen that movie in years. I really don't. Where is that? Bam Bamboo says, is there concept art in the Nexus book? I don't want to sound simple, but I need some visuals. No, you know what? The Nexus book is more really essays. There's not a lot of concept art, but get that Sid Mead concept art. Did you watch Future Man season 2 yet? I have not. Are you going to see the Blood Moon Lunar Eclipse Sunday night? No, but I'll look for it now. My favorite Indiana Jones film, Bright, is Raiders of the Lost Ark. My second favorite is Temple of Doom, and a distant third is Last Crusade. I hate what they did to Sala and Marcus Brody in that movie. Not a big fan of that film, although I love Sean Connery. Wow. We've got some trolls in here. Not trolls, but somebody who's sexually frustrated. Raiders or Last Crusade is my favorite. That's good. Thoughts on Edge of Tomorrow? I love Edge of Tomorrow. I posted a tweet of the All You Need Is Kill steelbook I have from Japan. It's great. London Murillo says, the cat is cute. Thank you. Nay says, was Landis at fault for most of the Twilight Zone accident? How much did that incident affect the industry? For those of you who don't know, the actor Vic Morrow and 2 children were killed on the set of the Twilight Zone movie from 1982 during John Landis's segment. You know, it's hard to say. I wasn't there, so I can't say for a fact. I don't know. But the director runs the set and sets the tone. So there you go. Let's see. Midnight Edge says Corvette Summer seems to be available digitally. That's good. I didn't know that. Norman Lau says, living in today's time is amazing. I attend a lecture of historical medieval martial arts, convinced a so-called expert that my Steinhardt Pepsi diver was the same as Magnum's, and leveled some Diablo. That's what I'm talking about. That's living, man. Norman, you are living. The Illite Factor says, have you come across Prime 1 Studio Sculptive Storm? I have not. What are your thoughts on it compared to Hot Toys? Oh. I don't have that figure. I know what you're talking about. That's a bootleg figure. It's pretty great, but I haven't seen it up close, so I don't know. I will check it out. It is worth my time. Joe McKim says, Temple of Doom is the first movie I remember seeing in a theater. Oh, man, I saw it in a theater, too. It was amazing, right? Anthony Gonzalez with the super chat. Thank you for the super chat, Anthony. If you could pick only one, Platoon or Full Metal Jacket, that's tough. But you know what? I got to go with Full Metal Jacket because it's my man, Stanley Kubrick. He's my favorite director. But I do love Platoon. Platoon to me was scary as fuck when I saw that movie. I saw it at the Cinerama Dome. I took a date. I took this girl named Kelly Sugg to see that movie, and it was traumatizing for both of us. But I loved it. Donnie Pearson says, I love all 4 indie movies, including Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Kush sends me a $2 super chat. Thank you, Kush. That was very nice of you. Thank you. Let's see. I remember that helicopter crash. It was pretty sad. It was pretty sad. It wasn't good. Let's see. Sarah Homework says, what's the last video game you played? That's a good question. The last video game I played, I noodled around with Spider-Man, and it made me want to get a new PlayStation 4. I want to get the Spider-Man PlayStation 4 and play it because it was amazing. The last video game I finished was a long time ago. It was Grand Theft Auto 5. Norman Lau says, by the way, I listened to Inglorious Trek Experts while driving around all over Orange County today and love the Captain show. I wish you had all brought up Rachel Garrett of the Enterprise C. We should have. That was our mistake. Kush says, for the record, my people don't eat monkey brains or baby spiders. But do you live at Pancake Palace, and do you want to bring back the thuggy? Benjamin Yu says, has doing Vampire movies influenced your opinion of those movies? Yeah, it does, because you can't help. Look, I was on Superman Returns for a year and saw how much tender loving care was put into a film, because you're with the crew every day watching them work, and it's amazing. It's just, you can't not have the most incredible respect for those people. Comic Doctor says, and thank you for that super chat. He says, your passion and positive outlook is appreciated. Well, thank you. You know, here's the thing. I'm going to die soon. No, I'm going to die. We're all going to die. I would prefer to die later than sooner, because there's so many cool things I want to see and do. And I've got too many books I need to read, and too many. Look at these models. You can't really see it, but there's models of the Forbidden Planet C-570, the Discovery from 2001, and the Katinga battle cruiser from Star Trek: The Motion Picture. That's 1/350th scale. That's the same scale as that Enterprise and that Enterprise. And I don't want to die before I can build it. So there's lots I want to do. Kevin Rubio says, Robert, need your encyclopedic knowledge of Star Trek, the original series. Best episode where Kirk talks about the love of his ship. Probably this side of Paradise, maybe, first season. I think, maybe. Let's see. Myth Dustard says, thanks for answering my questions. I've got to go to bed as much as I would want to stay up. It's past 1 a.m. in the East Coast. Okay, go to bed. Sleep tight. Jason Soto says, how did you feel about Last Jedi? I personally didn't care for it. It didn't work for me, especially Canto Bight and the hey, we're the same speed and can't catch up. I thought that was all very interesting, actually. What I loved about Last Jedi was the Luke story. Yeah, I had problems with it structurally and things like that, but I really enjoyed where they went with the Luke story, and the fact that, you know, he came back and he did the most badass Jedi thing ever. You know, you never use Jedi powers for attack, only for defense. What is more badass than projecting yourself, participating in a battle that you're not actually at, and winning it? I like that. Efren Guz, hey, how you doing, Mr. Guzman? Efren Guzman says, thoughts on Salem's Lot. I love Salem's Lot, especially I love the book, first of all, but I assume you mean the Toby Hooper directed miniseries, the 2-night miniseries. That shit was scary as fuck when I first saw it. Mark, open the window. I love that. Oh my God. Bright says, Skippy is chilling. Yes, she is. Sarah Homework says, it's me, PJ's wife. Well, hello, Sarah. Aren't you? You're a doll. You're just a doll. Can I say that without being like someone saying that she's great? You know I'm great. You know I think you're great. DB Cooper says, where is DB Cooper's money? I don't know, DB, but if you find out, send me some, because I could use it to make free enterprise too. Donnie Pearson says, pardon the off topic, but what is your reaction about the John Tesh composed Round Ball Rock, the old NBC theme tune, being the new theme tune for select Fox College Hoops telecast? I didn't know that, but anything that John Tesh does, he can do no wrong in my book. That lantern-jawed, handsome devil. Amazing. Let's see. Farky50 says, Rob, did you ever get any Stargate info? I didn't. I don't know anything about it. I can ask Dean Devlin, though. We record the Inglorious Trexperts podcast in Dean Devlin's offices, his Electric Entertainment offices on La Cienega in West Los Angeles. Coaster Ninja says, need to watch a lot of Kubrick, so many of them when I was too young. Yes, watch them all, because he didn't make many. Myth Dustard says, Tom Cruise, Buster Keaton, Jackie Chan, or other actors known for his crazy stunts. You know what? I got to go Jackie Chan on that. Probably Buster Keaton, because they pioneered it. Anthony Gonzalez says, what are your thoughts on the theme to Enterprise? The fan base is pretty split on it. Here's why. It doesn't matter whether you like the song or not. The theme to Enterprise was not composed for Enterprise. It was from the movie Patch Adams. That's where it first appeared. And I don't care how long it took to get from here to there. They should have come up with an original theme. It always bothered me. Kush says, dude, Johnny Five is my homeboy. Johnny Five is alive. You know what? He didn't short circuit. Future Doc 84 says, ever play StarCraft? I have. I like StarCraft. I haven't played it in a long time, though. That's some old school. Let's see. What do you got here? Andrew K. Channel says, the Human Adventure is just beginning. That was the ad line for Star Trek Motion Picture, and I love that. It was either The Human Adventure is Just Beginning or There Is No Comparison, which is on the teaser one sheet. Tom Bateman says, Rob, the Rams will beat the Saints tomorrow. Book it, baby. They better, man. They better. Let's see. Where are we at? Where was I? Comic Doctor says, Deep Space Nine episode where the original Enterprise was recreated. Don't recall the title. It was called Trials and Tribulations, and it was done for Star Trek's, get this, 30th anniversary in 1996. Yes. Joe Flick says, I would love to make another Moon Knight poster for you and maybe Green Arrow for Campia. Oh, man, I'd love this. So for those of you who don't know this guy, Joe Flicks, he's amazing. He did a one-sheet poster of me in comic art form as Moon Knight. It's amazing. I have it in my bedroom, actually. It's amazing. Norman Lau says, predictions, Pats or Chiefs? Chiefs, because I hate the Pats, and I'd love to see the Rams because I want Tom Bateman to have a big smile on his face. Jason Soto, thank you for the super chat, says, I love Return of the Living Dead. I love Return of the Living Dead, too. And I'll tell you something, Dan O'Bannon, who made Return of the Living Dead, he starred in John Carpenter's first feature, Dark Star. He was one of the principal architects of Alien. So he's passed away, sadly. And I believe he wrote the script for Life Force with Don Jacoby. PK Olsen says, thoughts on Krull? The lead actor ended up in Star Trek The Next Generation. Krull is awesome, and I love the crystalline spider in Krull. If you guys haven't seen Krull, you got to see Krull because it's an artifact from the early 80s. It's fantasy sci-fi. It's pretty cool. Andrew K. Channel says the human race has a long way to go before we ever get to the utopia of Star Trek. That is true, but remember, they survived the post-atomic horror. I have faith. Chris Miller sent in $5 super chat. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. I always feel I should answer some pertinent question, but thank you. I appreciate that. Rams World says, your lack of faith of the heart, R&B. Yes, because my life, it's been a long road getting from here to there, but I'm still going. Joe Flick says, yeah, Johnny 5. Entertained, I say yes. Great Gladiator reference. Are you looking forward for the Big Chief 12-inch Maximus figure? I can't wait. Entertained says, I say yes. Speaking of movies and scores, soundtracks, thoughts on Pitbull's Ocean to Ocean new rendition of Africa by Toto. It's awesome. It's awesome. I love it. It's great. Your friend Guzman asks, what's your favorite film adapted to television? Mine's Buffy. I think that's actually really, really good. I think that the Buffy movie is far inferior to the series that it spawned. That is a very good question. God, that's a tough one. What movie? God, I don't know. I'd have to think about that. That's tough. Hey, Rob, have you ever seen it? Farky50 says, have you ever seen the special Invasion America 1998 WB Network? I've not seen it. I know it, but I haven't seen it. I'd like to see it. Blake St. Clair says, Rumble in the Bronx, First Strike, and Armor of God 2, Operation Condor with Jackie Chan for stunts cannot be surpassed. I tend to agree with you. Nobody No One says, Rob, do you like Lex? How can you not like Lex? Everyone needs a little bit more zhuzh in their sci-fi, if you know what I mean. It wasn't great, but I enjoyed it. Kush asks, were you into Star Blazers growing up? Okay. Was I into Star Blazers? Let me just tell you how much I'm into Star Blazers. If you like Star Blazers, you owe it to yourself. I cannot stress this enough. Tom Bateman will be with me on this. You must see Space Battleship Yamato 2199 and Space Battleship Yamato 2202, the new iterations of Star Blazers. They started in 2012. They're incredible. 2199 it's the retelling of the Iskandar story. It is so good. It's coming out on Blu-ray domestically in March. You have to see it. It's one of the greatest animes ever. Check it out. Rachel Silvestrini, sitting in the hotel room with PJ and Sarah. And loving the interaction going on. Also, it's super cold and rainy in New York, and we're still here for another week, so no one's risking getting sick. All right, Rachel. Well, that's good. Don't get sick. Why are you guys get outside and go party? New York's the city that never sleeps. Go get caught between the new moon and New York City. I guess it's crazy, but it's true. Donnie Pearson says, speaking of Star Trek, will the next live action show after Section 31 be the first since Enterprise to be produced for a traditional over-the-air TV network? No. They will not produce Star Trek for an over-the-TV network ever again. That's dead, unfortunately. Farky50 says, hey, Rob, I read Deep Space Nine was in response to Babylon 5 and they rushed production. You know what? People say that. It is not a big stretch to know that they're looking to make a new Star Trek show to think about, well, what could we do? Instead of going to the adventure, what if the adventure came to us? I don't, it's kind of like when Big and other movies about kids in adults' bodies happen. I don't believe that. Future Doc 84 says, I think I know the answer, but what do you like more, Excalibur or Conan the Barbarian? I personally like Conan more. You know what, though? Look, Conan came out a year after Excalibur. They're both really, really good. They're very different movies just because they're sword and sorcery movies. And Conan came out in May of 83. All right, pardon me. Strike that. Conan came out in May of 82. And I love Conan. I love the Basil Polidor score. I love James Earl Jones. I love Sandal Bergman. The hottie blonde in that movie she was a dancer from New York. She was in All That Jazz, which is one of my favorite movies. But anyway, they're both great. Sarah Homework says, who would you cast as the live action She-Ra or Squirrel Girl? Oh my God. That's tough. Who would I cast as the Ronda Rousey? She-Ra? Why not? And Squirrel Girl. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. Can I come back to that? Ben V says, hi, Rob. How have you maintained a childlike wonder while critiquing film? Because we're still getting great movies. There's great movies, great TV everywhere you look. It's great. Great stuff. Brian Eng says, would a live action She-Hulk need to be buff or can she have Gal Gadot's body? I think she has to have a combination. She has to be buff. You can't, a She-Hulk has to be buff. But you could, we haven't seen really a female CG character. But She-Hulk, even in her Hulk form, looks fairly normal. So probably somebody who's buff. But you could have a buff Gal Gadot, I think, and you paint her green. I think it could work. It depends. WB film chief Tomer Emmerich said to the Hollywood Reporter that going forward, DC films will go for less connectivity between the films. I think this is a smart way to go. I read that. I agree. It's a smart way to go. Kush says Funimation does the new Star Blazers. I think it will be on iTunes also in March, but I can get it from their website directly. I bought that shit on Amazon Japan as it was coming out. They were hideously expensive Blu-rays, but worth it because they were subtitled in English, not Star Blazers 2202. When they bring back the Comet Empire, you should see what they do with the Andromeda class starships. They have Andromeda class aircraft carrier or space fighter carrier. It's so cool. You got to watch it. Norman Lau says Christopher Cross Arthur reference respect. One of my favorite movies ever is the original 1981 Arthur with Dudley Moore. Let's drink to Dudley Moore's memory. My friend Guzman says, what's your favorite Michael Dudikoff film? Mine will always be American Ninja and Avenging Force. For the trivia, Chuck Norris plays the same role as Matt Hunter for Invasion USA. Okay, let me read this again. Your friend Guzman says, what is your favorite Michael Dudikoff film? Mine will always be American Ninja and Avenging Force. For trivia, Chuck Norris plays the same role as Matt Hunter for Invasion USA, if I'm correct. I believe you're correct. I freaking love American Ninja. Steve James Power. Jason Soto says, nice out here in Florida. It is. I like Florida. Hands of Stone said, who is hotter, Wilma Deering or Princess Ardala? Princess Ardala all day and every day, but I wouldn't kick Wilma Deering out of the Earth Defense Directorate. Comic Doctor says, I don't think I ever heard you discuss the prequels or how you feel about them. We all know how Campia feels about them. I don't find them to be great movies, but the story they're telling is really interesting. And I do like a lot. I like the idea of the prequels, but not the execution. But I've come to watch them and enjoy them more. Entertained ICS says, watching TOS for the first time, surprised that Kirk is portrayed as sort of a ladies' man. Are you surprised by that? But look at the women that he is involved with, that he has been involved with in his past. They're all smart. They're capable. Sometimes they throw him a few curves, as they did in the episode Bread and Circuses, and he'll avail himself of that. But what's up? What are you going to say? You're Kirk. I would too. Patrick Campbell says, the birthday boy says, to be fair, we did go see To Kill a Mockingbird tonight on Broadway and met Jeff Daniels. Well, I think we did all right so far, so good in old NYC. You have, sir. That's good. That's really cool. How was that? I'd love to have seen that. PK Olson says, ever played Magic the Gathering? I know Campy is Van. I did. I have played Magic the Gathering. As a matter of fact, a guy that I went to high school with was part of, I believe he helped found Wizards of the Coast. His name is Jesper Meerfors. And I do, but I was never big into that. Jason Soda says, do you have any big projects coming up that we can look forward to? Yes, I am currently producing and editing a feature film called Tango Shalom that I've been working on for like over 2 years, that we're reaching completion on. And we've submitted it to festivals, so stay tuned. Hopefully you will see it soon. And I also am working on a short film that I'm pretty excited about called Sky Fighter, written and directed by the great Lucas Kendall. It's a proof of concept 15-minute science fiction short that is the proof of concept for a larger feature that I'm hoping to work on as well. That's a fantastic project. It's great. I'm editing that. Efren Guzman says, I don't remember the film. Do you remember a fantasy film with a sword with a green stone hand as the hilt? Not much to go on, but I remember that vividly, similar to The Sword and the Sorcerer. I don't. It rings a bell vaguely. Norman C. Lau says, Gamelon and Deathlock, unparalleled evil. Yes. Kush says, American Ninja. Oh, Joe Flicks, Arthur, you're a hooker? Here's one of my favorite lines in any movie. When Arthur goes, he meets a woman that's a woman of the evening, and he's like, you're a hooker? I just thought I was doing really great with you. One that kills me every time. Tom Bateman says, there must be a remake of Laser Blast. Why has this not happened yet? Wasn't there a movie that came out recently, like in the last year, where a kid or his brother finds a laser weapon and travel? It reminded me of a Laser Blast remake. Norman Lau says, Pamela Hemsley was also super hot. The legendary Matt Houston. Yes. Lee Horsley of Sword and the Sorcerer fame. Yes, I went there. Directed by the great Albert Pune. Who is one of your lesser-known favorite composers for film or TV? That's a good question, Ben V. Wojciech Kilar, who did the score for Polanski's The Ninth Gate and Dracula, Coppola's Dracula. And I'm reminded of that because, where did it go? Oh, so check this out. Here's one of the great things about being me. This is why I love my friends. So my friend Lucas Kendall went to La La Land Records this week, and I'm editing his movie, and brought me this box of goodies. These are soundtracks from La La Land Records that Lucas brought me, that La La Land put out, including Wojciech Kilar's 3-disc CD of Dracula, including the 3-disc Kamen score for Die Hard, a double disc of Superman 2 and 3 by Ken Thorne, and this box set of Harry Potter, John Williams Harry Potter. See, people just bring me boxes of this stuff. This is why my life is charmed. Look at this box. I just got this box of goodness just because I know people. So how great's that? Anyway, PK Olson says, you went to high school with Jesper Meerfors. His art is on a lot of the original cards, iconic stuff. I loved Jesper Meerfors, and I'll tell you something. He used to do this cartoon in his notebook, Captain Corpse Cutter, which I remembered all the time. We're Facebook friends, and Jesper's great. But yes, I went to high school with him. Benjamin Yoon says, if Tango Shalom makes it to Tribeca, I'll be there. Benjamin, we have submitted it to Tribeca. I think our odds of getting in are about this much. But if we did get in, that would be amazing, and it would be the world premiere. So hopefully we will get there. William Morgan Shepherd was in Hawk the Slayer. He was the epic, as was the epic Jack Palance. Hawk the Slayer, not a great film. Hands of Stone says, what's a good low-budget sci-fi film that had so-so special effects but a great story? That's a good... I love Battle Beyond the Stars. If you haven't seen that, John Sayles wrote it. Jimmy Murakami directed it. He was a production designer, and it was based on the Magnificent Seven. If you haven't seen Battle Beyond the Stars, I love Battle Beyond the Stars. A good low-budget sci-fi movie. One of my favorites was made for PBS. It's The Lathe of Heaven, the first Lathe of Heaven. One of my favorite films of all time. Kush says, I love Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula, so ahead of its time. Totally. Patrick Campbell says, when it comes to Neil Simon, what's your favorite play or movie he wrote? Mine will probably always be Murder by Death. I like Murder by Death is really, really good. It's great. And I like that movie a lot. It recently just came out on Blu-ray. I like his Biloxi Blues. That's Neil Simon. I like that whole anything that he wrote about his youth. I think that's his. Coaster Ninja says, wow, what great gifts. I know, right? Nobody No One says, always wanted a figure of Dracula in his red armor. Oh my God, how cool would that be? So good. Joe Flick says, I recall your fascinating take at San Diego Comic-Con on Superman with Brainiac enthralling. Also, do you remember Star Crash? Dude, I have a Caroline Munro Star Crash action figure. If you look this up, look up Collection Complete. It's a show that I did for the Gemmer website. And in it, I show my Caroline Munro action figure. It came out like 4 years ago. They really made rooted hair and everything. By the way, Caroline Munro turned 70 years old this week. I'm her Facebook friend. That's how I know that. I love Star Crash. Fuck Mystery Science Theater for putting it on. Coaster Ninja says, what is the process for applying to film festivals? Well, basically, you have to pay money, and you have to fill out a form. And usually you have to make the movie available with some kind of secure link online so it can be judged. And that's it. Dr. Normal says, years ago, my friend gave me the Anchor Bay Free Enterprise because he knew I'm a Trek fan. I love your channel. Non-Trek sci-fi I enjoys Jerry Anderson's UFO and Star Lost. Okay, UFO, if you guys haven't seen UFO, it's one of my favorite things in the world. 26-episode series that ran from 1969 to 1971. It's one of my favorite science fiction shows ever. I spent $400 to get the hideously expensive Japanese Blu-ray set, and I bought the UK Blu-ray set when it came out that has a book in it. I love UFO. I can't believe it's not out domestically. That's incredible. Sarah Homework says, will you be on an episode of Sarah Homework with me and join me to react and watch a movie I've never seen? I would love that. And which film? Blade Runner, Close Encounters, or The Thing? You haven't seen Blade Runner, Close Encounters, or The Thing? I would do any of those. But you know what? I'd rather, of all of them, I'd be very curious to see your reaction to the Close Encounters. That's what I would like to see. Nay says, why do you keep bashing Mystery Science Theater 3000? Because I don't like the fact they make fun of movies I like. And then no one can ever go back and watch those movies on their own because they all saw the Mystery Science Theater 3000 episode, and they'll never take those movies seriously. And I hate that. Brian McGovern says, just joined. Do you think you will do a show going over your top movie scores? That's actually a really good idea. I like that idea, going over my favorite movie scores. I think that's good. I will do that. I will do that, Brian. I will do that. That's a good idea. Farky50 says, hey, Rob, I dream in like Sid Mead style for sci-fi dreams mostly. What do your sci-fi dreams look like? They look like Barbarella. My sci-fi dreams look like a cross between Barbarella, Star Crash, and a Duran Duran video. Sarah Homework says, let's do it. We will. Zap Rosdower. Your outfit reminds me of Charlton Heston in The Omega Man. On Sundays, I always dress for dinner. Yes, sir. I love that. That's fantastic. Thank you for that. Brian McGovern says, I do my best. Brian McGovern says, damn, Jane Fonda was hot in Barbarella. Yes, she was. I don't even know if we can say that anymore. Are we allowed to appreciate hot women in movies anymore? I don't even know if we can. Kush says, her name is Fonda and she dances on the sand. Favorite Rat Pack film? You know, I love Dean Martin as Matt Helm. It's not really a Rat Pack film. Yeah, I think Dean Martin is, and the original Ocean's 11. You know, even though that's ridiculous. No One says Jane Fonda looks great. Brian Nussbaum says Navarro. I can't scream. Efrain Guzman says, glad you're Chris. I love Chris Stuckman. He's great. What's your favorite hilariosity video? Dude, I watched the Batman and Robin one. I mean, that killed me. I thought the Sleepwalkers one was the first one I watched, and then I started going through them. I have not watched the Wicker Man one, but I can't. I'll die. Hands of Stone said, do you think any of the Arthur C. Clarke's last two books in the Odyssey series will be adapted to film? Arthur C. Clarke wrote 4. He wrote 2001, 2010, 2061, and 3001, The Final Odyssey. You know what I would do? I would remake 2010 and make it more like the book and get rid of it's the Americans and the Russians team up to beat the Chinese. I would do that. I think that'd be cool. Sarah Homework says, who's your favorite stand-up comedian? Oh my God, stand-up comedian. You know, probably Lenny Bruce, because I came to love him because Bob Fosse made a movie called Lenny about Lenny Bruce. And my favorite new stand-up comedian, I really like Stephen Wright when he was new. I'll call that's now he's like 30 years old. I like Stephen Wright a lot. Probably Dave Chappelle. You know, he kills me. Dave Chappelle kills me. But there's so many good ones. I don't know. I don't think Hands of Stone, any of the Arthur C. Clarke books will be adapted. But, you know, you never know. There's 4. You can't remake 2001, but you can remake. I would do 2010, 2061, and 3001, maybe as a TV series. That could be cool. You could still get Keir Dullea to play the old Dave Bowman. Norman Lau says, what are your feelings about rebooting The Last Starfighter? Who would you cast as Centauri? You know, rebooting The Last Starfighter, I don't know. I mean, I love The Last Starfighter. You could totally do that and reboot it. I think it'd be a great movie. And who would I get to play? Robert Preston. God, that's tough. You need to get somebody that can be fun. Gilbert, don't be barking. Why are you barking? Gilbert's looking at me in the mirror. I love Sam Kinison. Oh man, dude, Jason Soto. I took a date to see Sam Kinison. Mistake. I was laughing my ass off. She never wanted to see me again. Although she did. Sarah Homework says, if you could add a slice to the Schmodown wheel, what would it be? James fucking Bond. All day and every day. Brian McGovern says, Brian Nussbaum. I haven't answered this question about Last Starfighter yet. Who would it be? You know who it would be? I'll tell you exactly who it would be. Richard E. Grant. Richard E. Grant should play the new Centauri. He's perfect. Richard E. Grant. Your friend Guzman says, Rob, thoughts on the new film in association with James Gunn, Brightburn? I can't wait to see it. An evil Superman story. Bring it on. Gilbert. Coaster Ninja says, what's your opinion on Batman Forever? To me, it's like a 90s version of the cartoon series. It is just, it's so hard. I hate campy things. Aaron Johnson says, I think Chris Stuckman is okay, Rob, but on a lot of reviews, I kind of seem to believe that he takes the movie too harsh and makes the viewer upset. I can see that. But he's smart. I think he's smart. Joe Flick says, I agree with the problem of the polluting of the creative properties. Example, Austin Powers films, which I enjoy, somewhat ruining the cool gadgets being used in the James Bond film proper. I think so, too. Future Doc 84 says, I thought Tron Legacy wasn't that bad. Wouldn't mind a third movie. You know what? I was kind of disappointed in Tron Legacy because here's the thing. Tron it prophesized the internet, and Tron Legacy was all about not the internet. It's just the grid, this closed off part. I would rather have seen a Tron. What does the grid look like if it's worldwide? It kind of bummed me out. Your friend Guzman says, which is your favorite 80s hottie? Catherine Mary Stewart or Kristen Alfonso? Nope. Sherilyn Fenn, man. Sherilyn Fenn and Diane Lane. Diane Lane in Outsiders, in Streets of Fire, in Rumblefish, and in Cotton Club. Diane Lane. Sarah Homework says, what's your favorite comfort food? Mac and cheese, maybe. I love Elizabeth makes this bolognese that is to die for. It's incredible. No one says thoughts on The Wraith. It's got Sherilyn Fenn in it. Need I say more? That's all I need to know. 2019 will be the year of Jon Favreau. Probably. Lion King. It's great. Well, guys, ladies and gents, everyone in New York, everyone around the world, I want to thank you for participating in this. Hopefully it was uplifting. We talked about things we love, which is great. I'm going to get off. Oh, Future Doc 84 says, if you had to pitch a new Bond film, what would you like to see? Who would you get to direct? I would like to see an outlandishly large movie again, like Spy Love Me. Some world-dominating villain doing some crazy shit. I want to see Bond get big again, huge. Joe Flicks asks or says, I would love to co-write either a remake or series sequel of The Final Countdown featuring the great Kirk Douglas. I know, right? I love The Final Countdown. It also has a great 1980, I think, Final Countdown. What a great John Scott score, too. Fantastic. Sebastian Gomez says, have you pre-ordered the Thanos hot toy? Come on, man. I also have the old Thanos in the throne. I'm going to get off the phone, though. The Illite Factor says, I'm going to get off the throne. I'm going to get off the phone. Whatever. The Illite Factor says, who's your choice for Bond? Craig to continue, Henry Cavill, Idris Elba, Tom Hiddleston, or another choice? You know what? Those are all good choices, but I like Rob Stark, Richard Madden. I think he's going to be great. I think he might be the next Bond. All right, kids. Well, I'm going to bed now. I will see you later. I'm going to go watch something. good. So thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Appreciate all the super chats. And I'll be back tomorrow talking about something. So good night. And think about it. What do you guys love? Put that on the comments of this chat. Tell me what you love. I want to know.